Hello guys, this is gonna be another VOD review. It's gonna be a little bit, it's gonna be a bit shorter than last time, since last time with the big VOD review I already went over a lot of your personal mistakes, so this VOD review is gonna be a little shorter, hopefully more focused on maybe some macro team play communication things, and also the fact that this game was kind of a stomp, so there's really wasn't that much to say, but let's get on with it. So first thing I'm gonna point out is jump ahead to 130. So around 130. So early on, Dylan placed a ward here, and I like though I like the idea of the ward. It would be the idea of the ward is good, but this is like kind of like supplemental information. So generally, level 1, you want to have wards in the pixel brushes, in at least one of the pixel brushes. Okay? So I'm not saying this ward is bad. This ward is great to have, but it would have been better to have a ward in this pixel brush. So later on, Alex does ward the river around here, which, isn't that bad, but the ideal spot to ward is always going to be the pixel brush here. Yeah, so generally speaking, in the early games, and especially bot lane here, I believe there's an invader early on. Let me just have another look. Yeah, there's an invader early on, which may have been a little bit tough to put down the pixel there. Actually, yeah, maybe it was a little bit tough to put pixel ward here, but definitely there should have been a pixel ward here. Since the early game you want to have at least one ward in the pixel brush. So now let's jump ahead a bit to another moment. Around around here. So let's just watch it first. Let's watch this play first. Alright, so that play isn't double speed, sorry. Let's just go through it again. And let's watch it from Dylan's perspective. Whoops. So Dylan, here's what you see. You see Lee Sin misses Q, and I assume you wanted to fight there because you knew Lee Sin didn't have Q. So Orange shows up, forces a flash, but then Camille comes, and Dylan, you die. Okay. So let's just break it down from the beginning to the end. First of all, Dylan, when you passed towards the scuttle, to me it seems like you were not expecting Lee Sin to come here. So I'm not sure if you're aware, but like for Lee Sin's an example of like a strong level 2 jungler. And what strong level 2 junglers generally do is they'll go from red buff directly to the scuttle. So it did seem like you were unaware of Lee Sin being here, but in my opinion, the best thing that you could have done was simply just, go for the skull right here. Alright, so because generally Lee Sin, that's more likely Lee Sin's gonna take this scuttle than that one. And also, what you could have done was is that knowing that Lee Sin's over here, there was a chance you could have, made a play on our bot side, which was slightly shoving on our bot side as well. So if we look at our bot lane, they're getting slightly shoved in right now, but the wave is going to crash maybe around here or so. And around here, Leona wouldn't it be ideal for Leona to engage, so our bot is under no real threat right now. So had you done the scuttle over here, there's a chance you could have made a play bot lane. But even if you weren't able to make a play bot lane, the scuttle still would have been the better call. But anyways, let's just move on from there. And another, oh yeah, wait, accidentally jumped back. So while we're moving forward, another reason why it's dangerous is that like you have like blue buff and Lee Sin has red buff. So I understand Jarvan is also somewhat strong level 2, but Lee Sin, you have to realize that Lee Sin will have red buff. So even if you guys are full HP and brawling each other, you guys get to jump on each other at the same time. Lee Sin's still gonna win the fight simply because of his red buff. So you see Lee Sin misses Q, so I assume that's when you think, alright, I can fight him. I can outdamage him. So the problem right away comes at the fact that Lee Sin is stronger than you level 2, and I believe you guys started fighting at the same time, so you didn't really get a jump on him. So here, like, I believe you kept on fighting because we had top lane priority. Ornn was coming down. So yeah. However, there's also the problem of mid lane. Look at mid lane right now. Mid lane's getting shoved in really hard, and it's so close to Anivia, she can literally just kill his minion and walk over. That's exactly what she does. Turn all vision. Like, if Anivia wasn't here, if it had been like a Cassiopeia coming instead of Anivia, then you guys could have definitely like either flashed after him, or like either flashed after him, or in that case you would have forced his flash to secure the scuttle. But like you guys didn't have mid lane priority, so that was like a major problem. And another problem was the timing of the top lane move. So I'm gonna go back to top lane now. So let's look at the state of the wave, right? So this is when the first wave is dying off and the second wave is coming back in. Alex, look at your EXP bar. Look how close you are to level 2, right? Like you're probably about 2 minutes away from level 2, and you can expect Camille to be at the same place, right? So Camille's at actually the exact same EXP as you are. So let's just watch this. So you rotated down first, and through this. So like Alex, so when you rotated down, you guys had to expect that Camille's gonna ding two, and then she's gonna follow you. So like, honestly, Alex, I don't think your rotation down here was good. Like, it was not a good rotation. First of all, you didn't exactly have lane prio. So when I say when you have lane prio, it means you have more minions than them, and you're shoving them under the tower. So this is an example of lane prio. All right, you see how Phoenix here, he can't rotate. He's stuck under his tower. He has to farm all these minions, or else he's gonna lose a lot of EXP. But up here, the wave is practically even. So you rotating down there is gonna be a loss for you. Especially considering like not only is Lee Sin stronger than Jarvan with red buff, also considering that Anivia also has lane prio. But another thing to keep in mind was your EXP bar is that you were so close to level 2, but instead of dinging 2 then moving down, you decided to walk down level 1. And that gives Camille level 2, which is a huge advantage in any early brawl. And then now when she rotates down, suddenly, even if Anivia didn't come, like, you guys would still lose the fight simply because of a level disadvantage.
I'm coming to get you.
All in all though, the two biggest problems I saw here was the fact that you guys didn't seem to take mid priority into account. I don't know if you guys didn't listen to it or if Phoenix didn't communicate it well enough, but that's something you have to work on. Phoenix, you have to communicate your lane priority properly. You have to tell them, hey guys, I can't rotate. You guys gotta get out of there, don't fight. And Alex, you also have to realize that, okay, you don't have lane priority. You're about to ding level 2. If I rotate, Camille's gonna ding 2 and then come down. We're gonna be at a big disadvantage. So, Alex, in this case, you gotta realize that you can't help. And finally, Dylan, you have to also realize that when your lanes don't have priority, you don't have red buff. Lee Sin's stronger than you. Didn't get the jump on Lee Sin, so he's gonna outduel you. You have to realize that you're gonna lose the fight, so you should just probably back away from the skull. But, anyways, those are the takeaways from this. And then. Let's just move ahead to 3. So another big thing that happened this game was how bot lane got snowballed on pretty hard. So I just want to look at how it started and how it could have been avoided. Let's jump to 3 now. Let's just focus on Rakan. Alright, so this moment, Brayson, your abilities are all down. So that's kind of bugged, but I believe you have about 10 seconds on your W. So Brayson's biggest disengage / engage ability is currently on cooldown. So now let's see what happens. So Leona engages onto Ryan. And then he just gets killed. So, like, when you have to... So Brian and Brayson, this is probably something you guys have to work on in your communication. So Ryan, you made a mistake by walking up too far and disrespecting the Leona. Like Leona Lucian, they do a lot of damage, especially with Ignite. So like you seem like you didn't really respect that. But another factor was that Brayson didn't have any of his cooldowns up. Like had Brayson had W, Brayson could have W, knocked them both up, and allowed you to retreat. Maybe you have to blow heal, but you'd still be alive. But the fact that Brayson didn't have his W up, and that's the other reason why you died. So this is something I want you to like work on, is that you have to respect. You really need to respect their strength, especially Leona's strength, and you have to respect the fact. You have to realize that your support does not have his cooldowns up, and Brayson, you have to properly communicate that your most important ability is on cooldown and you're really easily engaged on. So you have to also communicate that properly to Ryan, so you guys both don't play too far up. Like, you have to remember, you're not playing Alistar here, you're not playing Braum here, you're not playing Thresh, you're playing Rakan. Rakan he can match your engage, but he's a lot squishier. And you also have, like, you're really reliant on your cooldown, so that's something and, like, without your cooldown, you don't have much you don't really have CC besides your W pre-6. Okay. And another point I realized was around around 4 minutes. This is a minor point. So, at around here, Phoenix, you have lane priority. You have total lane priority. You have 2 wards in your inventory, and you decide to put the ward right there. And honestly, I don't personally don't really like that ward because, like, look how much priority you have. Look how low Anivia is. Anivia is forced all the way back here, while Phoenix, you have like total lane control. So I understand that you might have feared the Lee Sin, but if you look at Anivia's positioning back here, there's no chance of Lee Sin being here. Like there's no chance he could have been like sitting in this bush, or else Anivia would have maybe walked up instead of trying to last it back here. She would have been up here, ready to follow up. So like an aggressive. So I don't play Cassiopeia, so I'm not sure if you could win a fight against Lee Sin. But a better ward that would be a lot safer would be if you like walked into this bush and warded over the wall here, or like if you got a ward in the pixel right here, that would also be pretty safe. But I think the safest would have been to just like ward up here, like because this warding this bush gives you barely any information at all, other than like, oh, Lee Sin's not in this bush. Like Lee Sin's not going to path here unless he's about to gank. But if you warded here instead, if you warded this region here, like over the wall, you probably could have caught you could definitely catch Lee Sin pathing into the river, and that's a really crucial information. And since you have 2 wards, once you ward over here and you realize Lee Sin's not there, what I would have done is I would have even pathed even further and possibly warded here or here. Like under normal circumstances, I have talked about this a lot. It's like you don't want to get deep wards without teammates nearby, and I see that you're trying to play to that because Dylan had just backed. As you can see here, he's in base. But you also need to recognize the enemy's positions. Like bot lane just backed. Like their bot lane just backed, and so that should have been communicated, which I hope it was communicated. And that Anivia is stuck on her tower. And actually, you know what? Let me turn on vision. You even see Lee Sin pathing to this side. So like in my opinion, what you definitely could have done was either like once you see Lee Sin pass by here, what you definitely could have done is either get a ward like deeper, maybe somewhere around here, or you could have like gotten a ward maybe around this area. Would have been a bit dangerous to path into Pixel, since you don't know what Lee Sin's next move is, but getting a ward in this open area is also not bad, since you can catch Lee Sin pathing if he tries to path into our jungle, or if he tries to path around for a gank. But yeah, just kind of sitting around here, not using your priority to get the second ward down. I don't think it's the best option. There's a lot more you could have done with this lane priority. But anyways, so just to summarize quickly what I was talking about. With lane prio, this ward is not ideal. Without seeing Lee Sin, you could have warded here. And after you saw Lee Sin, who was going to be around here, you could have pathed over here to ward our jungle entrance here. Or you could have pathed deeper into the jungle and get some deeper vision to catch Lee Sin in case he ever comes back through the jungle. And And my final point is that there was actually a video I asked you guys to watch. It was an SK Telecom versus KT Rolster game last year and during the LCK Summer Split where they did a strategy called it was like juggling vision or seesawing vision. So where if the jungler spawn on one side of the map, you ward up the other side. Jungler spawn on this side of the map, you ward this side. So this was an opportunity to get some of that seesaw going, right? So you saw Lee Sin going into this side of the jungle. So in that case, you can get some vision on this side of the jungle, so you can catch Lee Sin when he comes here. So once Lee Sin comes to this side of the jungle, you guys could have like you guys could have like gotten some wards on this side of the jungle. So that's just a point I wanted to make. Alright. So let's jump over to the next big play that was made. So maybe let's jump back a little bit. So Dylan, I think this gank was very well executed. You guys, this was a time where you took advantage of Nivea's being flashless, and you guys capitalized on that, which is really nice. Okay, so now let's see what happens here. So this is just mechanical, but Dylan had. But I feel like it seems like you kind of underestimated Camille's engage range. So what you probably should have done here was instead of like EQing over the wall, you should have maybe flashed and then EQ away. So what I just said though would not work if Camille has flash, but at this current time she does not have flash. So I'm not sure if it was communicated or not, but knowing Camille doesn't have flash, you should have flashed over the wall and EQ'd away. But then again, if Camille flash down was not communicated, I'd perfectly understand you being hesitant using your flash. So that's just another point I wanted to like highlight to the team. I'm not talking not what you could have played better, but the fact that you want to communicate summoner spells better. Since if Camille's flashes down was communicated, I think if you were playing at your best, you probably would have opted to flash over the wall and then EQ or use your flash in some way, you know, rather than getting caught by Camille like that. Anyways, now let's look at top. Let's go to top lane now. So let's just focus on Alex for a little bit. So from Alex's point, here's what you see. You see Camille on the mini map. You see Camille and Lee Sin just kill your jungler. Now you see Camille pathing back top. So at this point, you're flashless. Lee Sin is full health, and Camille is full health. So it seems. So here it seems like seems like some autopiloting right here. I mean, so you even see on the map that Camille and Lee Sin are in the river right now. Let's see what happens from Alex's perspective.
I'm coming to get you.
Alright, so Camille basically zips out from the fog of war.
Wait.
Shows up with Lee Sin. So Alex, in this sort of situation, you really have to this is a sort of situation where you really need to respect the engage range of Camille and Lee Sin. Like under normal circumstances, if that wasn't a Camille, if that was like a, you know, a Kled or a Jax or something, in that case you would have been. I think you would have been fine because like they can't engage from Fog of War like that. But the fact that it's a Camille and a Lee Sin, Camille can jump in, Lee Sin can Q to you or W to her and then Q to you. This is something you really have to respect. And not all missions, one of the checks. And to me, it seems like if I look at their moves, to me it seems like they only decide to engage on you because you actually pushed up pretty far. Like when you were around here, trying to clear the minions, you were safe. But once you walked past like this pillar, like this kind of a line here, that's when you got into danger territory, and they picked that up, and that's when they engaged them. So what you should have done, just come back a little bit. So like, what you probably should have done in this case is like once like clear these minions, and then you had two options. First of all, you know they're in the river. That's a given. So you don't want to make yourself look like an appealing target. So first of all, this Q here was kind of awkward since now you don't have enough mana to cast your E. So what you could have done was either back, since you do have TP up. So once Camille comes back to lane, you can TP to your tower with full mana. And the fact that Camille doesn't have ulti and Lee Sin's level 4, or he's going to turn 5, means that they're probably not going to have enough CC to kill you. So if you had you like had you backed and TP'd, you probably could have like deterred any possible gank. Or the alternative, because the wave is not in a good spot, you could have just sat in this bush and absorbed some EXP. Like had you sat in this bush, Camille wouldn't have been able to reach you, and then there was a big chance you probably could have made it out. Oh, that's interesting. Seems like your E was interrupted here. Huh, didn't notice that before. Guess it's kind of unfortunate. But ultimately, staying up this far was probably like a mistake. And had you been in this bush, you would. If you wanted the EXP, just stay in this bush. If you wanted to like, or you should have just backed. That's the bottom line. All right, moving on. I made a comment somewhere here. Just wanted to make a quick mention. This was a really good ward. Alex, you placed because you have total lane priority at this time, and your jungler's also, you know, on our top side, and mid lane just backed. So, good job, good word. And then there was these shenanigans. I think I already talked this through with you guys. So Dylan, I like this gank from you. I like the gank from you. Camille's playing overly aggressive. So you punished her for it. So both ganks kind of happened around the same time. So top lane, it was a good gank, and the bot lane, I think I already talked about it before. Ryan, you were way too disrespectful of a possible dive coming, especially since you didn't have flash. Brayson was in base, and Leona and Lucian are both level 6. Anyway, so this is a good example of, like, you know, creating pressure around the map. We get pressure top lane, they get pressure bottom lane. And I think I already, but yeah, Dylan, you going back to farming your Krugs was a pretty, like, not so good move, because you were giving up the pressure you had top lane. So I already mentioned this. You probably should have like sat here and helped Alex chip down, get some turret plating. But now that I look closer, you also had a chance to take blue buff. So mid lane wasn't in any much danger of getting shoved into too hard at this point. Because Cassiopeia's wave clear is like fairly decent. Especially if you look here, they're actually starting to trade. But in addition, you know Camille's dead, and you also know that Lee Sin's bottom side, and they have Dragon right now. So what you could have also done was actually take their blue buff, or take their blue buff. You know, jack this, jack that. You even take the scuttle, which I think you did do later on. But I think the alternative to taking the tower would have been to take the blue buff here. But instead, you kind of just went back to your Krugs and gave up the pressure, which I don't really like. So that's just something to keep in mind for the future. Always look to trade pressure no matter what.
Bring in my step.
Alright, let's jump. The next thing I want to know is just to jump ahead to like 12 minutes. It lives around here. So at this point, let me just turn on red vision actually only. So here we see so Dylan, wait, whoops. All right, Dylan, here you see Anivia. So you got chunked out by her a little bit. And here we see Phoenix trying to help. So here you guys kind of you guys tried to collapse, but then they kind of made the right play and baited that. So here Phoenix gets caught. Phoenix, I don't think there's really much you could have done here other than try to get as much damage as possible. But Dylan, like, you going back in here though was a little questionable. So I know like you were trying to wait out your I think your E, you just used your E on the bush, but I think your ult was coming up soon, or maybe your E cooldown was low enough so it's gonna come up soon anyways. So you were trying to look for a kill onto the Lee Sin. But as you can see here, Camille came and kind of fucked you up. So I think that might have, I personally believe this was another instance of bad communication. So Camille being missing should have been Camille. Let's just jump back 15 seconds. Let's have a look. So Camille just cleared this wave, alright? And as you can see here, she's positioned to walk down. So, yeah, okay. Alex pinged it. Alright, Alex pinged it. So, Alex made it clear, I hope, that Camille was rotating downwards. Honestly, that's the moment where Phoenix, you should have started backing off, and Dylan, you, well, you did the right move at backing up, but that's the moment where Phoenix, you should have started backing off. I guess, you know, you heard it, and then, you know, you kind of thought you could do something. Maybe you heard it too late. That's totally fine. So here you got collapsed on. But at this point, Dylan, you see Phoenix getting collapsed on. You should have been like, okay, Phoenix is fucked. I can't help him, especially with Camille coming. Okay, had Camille not been coming down, I think there was a possibility you could have like found an engagement with Lee Sin and got a counter kill. But the fact that Alex communicated at least that Camille is coming down, so I don't think you moving here was the right decision. Though ultimately I wasn't in the comms, so maybe it wasn't properly communicated. But this is just some communication you have to work on. Dylan, you really have to listen for when top lane is Mia, or when mid lane is Mia. You have try to listen to your laners. You really have to better communicate with your laners. Make sure you know where their laners are before you try to make any sort of play. And Alex, for you, I want you to better communicate. Camille is missing. So maybe you just said like Camille's missing and just pinged and then that's it. No, what I want you to fucking do is I want you to spam ping, okay? Don't just ping once. So I saw you pinging once, I think. Yeah. So look what Brayson did, right? Brayson did some. I don't know where Brayson was pinging actually. I don't know why ping there, but do what Brayson just did. Like spam ping. Like you see your team making a play here. You see your team getting like trying to fight here. You spam ping the living shit out of Camille or out of them, or it doesn't matter. You have to get it across that Camille's missing and I can't follow. Okay? You have to get it across. Though you did have TP up, so there was a chance you maybe could have TP'd down here to get the fight out, but honestly, personally, I wouldn't have done that. If that's what you're thinking, though, I don't think a TP would have been a good option. But yeah, just spam ping, yell it out. Camille is missing. Camille is missing. Like when I was playing for UBC last season, whenever my top laner goes missing, I yell that out to my team. I say it continuously until at least like 3 or 4 times, and I ping that 3 or 4 times. Okay? I want you to do the same. I want you to ping at least 3 times and say it at least 2 or 3 times. And then Dylan and Phoenix, or whoever else is listening, if you guys hear it, you guys also have to remember to respond. So Alex says, Camille's missing, Camille's missing, Camille's missing. Dylan, you say, alright, I heard, Camille's missing. And Phoenix, you also say, okay, I hear you, Camille's missing. Okay? So communication has to be loud and clear, but it also has to be two-way. One person says something, the other person says, I hear you. Another thing I just want to commend you guys on is so the play here. So here they actually made a really big mistake of overstaying, cause like yeah, they tried to engage on like our tanky Jarvan, but the fact is our team was like, you know, closer. We had a better angle on them, and this W for Phoenix was actually beautiful. This W essentially like kind of won the fight for you guys. So I just wanted to commend you guys on that. And but for the rest of the game, got kind of turned into a stomp and a snowball. What I've said before always applies. I've already mentioned in the team chat. You guys had established good vision and stuff, but it just kind of turned into like they had lane prio all the time. You guys can fight the advantage they have. So the final point I don't actually have much else to say. Well, I'll finally mention is fighter at the end. Wait a second. So at this point, let's look at what's happening. So you got both teams. So even though you're pushing them off, you guys like Brayson and Ryan, you guys actually have much lower HP than them. And personally, I believe it was actually a mistake for them to even back off at all. Like they made a mistake of backing off. So I like you guys thought about capitalizing on it. So you guys saw the Anivia egg there. You guys decided to engage on it. But this was honestly an overextension. This was definitely an overextension right here. So you look how low you guys are. Like, look, If Brayson and Ryan, you guys had been at full HP, this definitely would have been the right play to make. But the fact that you guys were so low, it means that you guys had to overextend just a little bit. Look how Ryan, you had to walk forward to get all their damage off, and that let Lee Sin get a heal on you. Actually kill you like that. And then they just turned into a slugfest after that. So then, like, you guys overcommitted on the Anivia trying to kill her, and then Phoenix, you walked up too far in this case, and Lucian came back in. And then finally Camille came and just cleaned up. But my point is that you guys overextended way too far for the Anivia. Like, you guys didn't have the HP bars, nor did you guys have the numbers to, like, you know, get that play off. Like, they were backing off. That's true, but at the same time, they weren't very far. Lee Sin was here, Lucian was here, Leona was like around there. So they're like, they were so close to you guys, and you guys are so low on health. So it just seemed like an overextension. And then afterwards, Dylan, you tried to salvage something, that didn't work out. You got killed. And afterwards here, Alex, you stayed. And at this point, Alex, you should realize that, okay, they can just kill me. You should have just backed off. You shouldn't have been here. You should have been way back here. Because with Alex, with your death here, it staggers your team a lot. It further staggers your team. Let's see what happens. Just kind of take the inhibitor. Like, Alex, your death was completely unnecessary there. But anyways, here's what could have happened had it been played better. So going for the Anivia lost you guys the inhibitor right there. So if instead you guys just backed off, recognized that going for Anivia was too risky, and you guys backed off, Alex was spawning in 4 seconds, so you guys could have done was you guys could have like established a 5-man here in case they try to push again. You guys could have saved your inhibitor. And from speaking from a lot of experience, before the game, you always have a chance of coming back if the inhibitor towers are still up. So as long as this tower, and this tower are still up, you always have, no matter how behind you are, you always have a shot of winning. So this is the moment the game went from being able to from comebackable to unwinnable. And this was the moment. So if you guys didn't lose the inhib tower here, what you guys could have done was, re-establish the Christmas tree, as Kyle calls it, around your jungle, get back some control, and try to focus on just scaling with using your getting farm and scaling and reaching your late game item points. And if they decide to re-engage with the TP and try to get that tower, you'd have Alex here. It'd be like an actual 5v5 at your inhibitor tower, in which case you guys stand a good shot of winning. But all in all, in my opinion, this lost you guys the game. And then afterwards, you guys made, like I mentioned, you guys made a really good play here. But honestly, you guys were just way too far behind to make it work properly. You guys were just way too far behind at that point, and then afterwards, they just kind of swept you guys. Anyways, so that is my review for today. So most of these things are just these small mistakes. They just build up. They build up into like this 12k gold lead that you see up here. So like, I know you guys. So you guys are probably pretty busy right now. So I'm not gonna have any strict practicing requirements for you guys. But really focus on fixing these small mistakes when you guys duo queue, play flex queue together, normals together, or whatever. Okay, focus on communicating loud and clear lane priority enemy locations, that sort of stuff. You have to fully respect the enemy team's strengths, when they can engage on you, when they can't, um, and that sort of stuff. But all in all, that's all I really have to say. I hope for right now though, I hope your exams go well. I hope you guys have a great winter. And yeah, that is it.